Now, breaking news, because you can see there the Scottish flag, the saltire, is being raised above Downing Street, number 10 Downing Street, and it will fly there from this afternoon until the end of the referendum period next week. The Union flag will fly on the other flagpole above number 10, so they're just preparing to raise it.
History will be made one way or the other. It'll either be yes for independence or no to remain part of the Union. And in what can only be described as a very symbolic and what will go down as a very iconic moment today above Downing Street, just watch this. We've got workers here trying to raise the saltire, our beautiful flag over Downing Street. This is going to be flying there, or was going to be flying there until the end of the referendum debate on the 18th. But as you can see here, oh, now how symbolic is that? That our great flag refuses to fly over that toilet called number 10. Yes, that's right, folks. The flag of Scotland, no, it doesn't sit well above that toilet.
I am William Wallace, my life was a mystery. Some say born 1272, some say 1263. Was Dad Malcolm of Paisley, maybe Alan from Ayr? Did I have a wife or no? Do you really care? They say I had a big red beard, but all you need to know, I was a Scottish rebel, and the English were my foe. William Wallace, Scottish rebel, this is war I cry. Many English fought me, and many English died. I took against the English back when I was fairly wee, cause an Englishman called Selby bullied my whole family. It upset me, so I stuck him dead. Well, wouldn't you? Then an English sheriff came along. Guess what? I killed him too. They say he killed my wife, so he deserved what he got. Then England's King Ed came for me. Oh, I'm scared not. William Wallace, Scottish rebel, possibly 6'7", but all that really matters is I sent Englishmen to heaven. 40,000 English came to Stirling Bridge for me. They had to cross a narrow bridge to get to us, you see. We held them off, pushed them back, it was no contest. Bridge collapsed, hundreds drowned, of course I killed the rest. Celebrated Stirling Bridge another Scottish win by decorating my sword with the English general's skin. William Wallace, Scottish rebel, Scottish legend too. Fought for Scottish freedom, was a hero through and through. Here's where my rebel story comes unstuck. At Falkirk defeated, I'd run out of luck. Spent 7 years playing hide and seek. Captured, sent to London, tried for treason, what cheek. King Ed hanged me, then a lovely touch. Pulled my guts out, guess he didn't like me much. William Wallace, Scottish rebel, in Scotland my heart lived. Though sadly my head wound up on a spike on London Bridge. Oh, that's smart.
They're playing these songs, mind us.
Is that what they're doing?
People of Glasgow! Your Imperial Masters have arrived!
Scotland would be better off staying in Britain, Wales would be better off with Scotland in, and England would be better off all together.
Our Imperial Masters, you're welcome here!
Personally, I think we all as Scottish folk should get down on our knees and worship our imperial leaders, man.
My friend inside the finger came up with something. What do we do? I'm a cop. I have to know.
Please don't come any closer, Inspector.
We're not wired.
Okay, you can take out a camcorder, film it and share it on YouTube for all I care. What I meant was I just farted and it still whiffs a bit.
You have information for us?
No, you can find all this info on the web. What you want, what you really want, is something that puts it all together. What you want is a story.
A story can be true or false.
Aye, but my name isn't Raymond Buchanan and I don't work for the BBC. Tough crowd. Our story begins, as these stories often do, with an up-and-coming politician. He's a pompous twit, born of wealth and privilege, related to the Queen, and his father became obscenely rich by helping people avoid paying their fair share to society via offshore tax havens. He gets the kind of education only the rich and well-connected can buy in the likes of Eton and Oxford, leaving him with a complete disregard for the way ordinary men and women have to struggle to live their lives. His idol is Margaret Thatcher, and his dream is to one day do what she couldn't manage to, and that is to finish privatising what's left of the public sector and bring an end to the welfare system in the UK. Although he's not exactly sure how to accomplish this, even with his uncanny ability to mislead and deceive the British public without actually telling a flat-out lie.
We're all in this together.
Then lo and behold, a miracle.
Asian stocks
fell off a cliff, the largest single point drop in history.
Share prices
The endless deregulation of the financial sector, started by Thatcher and continued under Blair and Brown, leaves the UK's banks completely undefended when Wall Street suffers the biggest crash since the Great Depression. Imagine a banking system so volatile, so over-leveraged that a tiny 3% drop in a single bank's asset base would crash the entire system. Hardly anyone had heard of Lehman Brothers before September 2008, but now the days of cheap and easy credit were over. Of course, the only way to keep the system from collapsing altogether is to mortgage the future of every man, woman and child in the UK, and public debt begins to skyrocket. With banks unable and unwilling to lend money, huge numbers of businesses can no longer get loans to keep their projects financed, and hundreds of thousands of people are made unemployed in a matter of weeks. Workers became willing to accept reductions in pay and conditions for fear of losing their jobs. And it is the fear of losing what little they have that will be the ultimate motivator for people to agree to all that was to come. It's at this point in our story that along comes a spider. He's a slimy little git who seems to always have a look on his face like he's just thought of something filthy. And together they decide that instead of blaming the banking sector for the crisis, that they should shift the blame onto the country itself. 3 demographics are chosen to attack: disabled people, the unemployed and public sector workers. The country will be convinced that anyone who has a public sector pension or claims benefits are the real cause for the deficit. Before long, everyone is a target. Single mothers in part-time work, the very lowest paid workers right across Britain, pensioners, stroke victims, the blind, even patients in a coma are forced to shovel the blame. Sadly, they fail to convince enough of the people to vote Conservative in an outright majority, despite the opposition sabotaging their leader in the election campaign. So they make a deal with the Liberal Democrats. For one referendum on changing the voting system to AV, the Lib Dums have to agree to vote for everything the Tories put forward, including forcing them to break their pledge not to raise student tuition fees. They already have the support of the majority of the UK's print media, but to guarantee their plan will work, they have to get the BBC brought into line. Bosses at the Beeb are easily scared shitless with threats of cutting the licence fee, exposure of the hidden lives of their longest serving and most beloved celeb presenters, and even the threat of closing the BBC down altogether. With Auntie doing exactly as they're told, the plan becomes a doddle, and the taxpayers' perception of what their money is spent on is so distorted it's not even close to reality. Slavery is brought back in the form of the government's work programme. Benefits are cut, forcing people to starve to death. The working poor get poorer. Inequality goes through the roof, and they even managed something Maggie could only have ever dreamed of, to privatise the nation's beloved NHS. By the time she died in her bed at the Ritz, our little politician had put in place plans to have wall-to-wall broadcasting of tributes to Thatcher, rewriting her history as the greatest leader the UK has ever seen, a funeral to match that of Princess Diana's, and plans for a museum to further whitewash the legacy of pain and suffering she wreaked upon millions. Now, private companies have been handed the reins of huge areas of the public sector, allowing them to fill their own pockets with billions of pounds of taxpayers' cash, often funneling it offshore so they will never be seen again. And if something isn't done soon to stop them, then the welfare system, as they say, will be history.
Can you prove any of this?
Prove? You people. If it's not in the 6 o'clock news, you think it can't possibly be happening. Wake up! You can find this stuff on Google! People are dying and the country is being robbed!
Right. We'd like to take you into protective custody, Mr.
You mean lock me away and shut me up? No, I don't think so. You do what you like with the story, but I'd suggest you go shout it from the rooftops.
Why didn't you come forward before? What were you waiting for?
Waiting? We've been campaigning and screaming about this for years. Sadly, it's only now that people are starting to listen. And I'd be doing a disservice to every name on that wall if I didn't speak out. Now, if you'll excuse me, Inspector, I have to go spread the word to more people. Tatty bye.
Welcome to Scotland's Outlook. Well, if you managed to snatch a little bit of the sunshine today, then you were one of the lucky ones, as poverty is at warning levels for many. We currently have rising fuel costs battering households, resulting in a high risk of many people simply not being able to afford to heat their homes. The chance of regular meals has also dropped, bringing with it a strong possibility of malnutrition, vitamin D deficiency, and depression for those most vulnerable. And we can now have a look at the latest figures for the country. The amount of people living in poverty in Scotland today is 870,000. Oh, come on, that can't be right. 870,000! So, the actual figure is more than 870,000. Moving on. Severe warnings are now in place as concerns mount for child poverty, with pressure rising, particularly for parents who can't afford even the most basic essentials like food and clothing. Recent readings show that 20% of children in Scotland are living below the breadline. 20%? That can't be right. That's a fifth. A fifth of all children. I can't count. And finally, the regional figures. Clackmannanshire is showing 23%, while Dundee is sitting at 26%, and in East End of Glasgow, it's 47%. That's nearly half of all children. That can't be right. Well, it can't. Well, somebody in my ear is telling me that all of this is right. That people here, and children all over the country are living in just genuinely extreme conditions. That all of this is right. But it's not right, is it?